What's goody? Hey man, so y'all are getting blessed today with another video because I already uploaded one that was me doing the ESPN Top 100 list, thing like that, blah 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 blah. Go look at that. Go watch that if you haven't already. It's a great way for you to see myself look stupid on another Sporkle quiz, and a good way for you to see how I feel about some of the interesting ESPN all-time rankings and everything like that. But today we are recording this one because Tom Thibodeau, head coach of the New York Knicks, just got fired today. A couple hours ago as I'm recording this. When the news broke, I was literally 5 minutes away from me and my fiance's doctor's appointment, so I couldn't record this until now. But just got home, so let's dive into it, man. Wrote some notes down and everything like that, so let's just dive right into it. So, as soon as news broke, I'm seeing the group chat blow up on my phone, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, damn, why is everybody just randomly texting all of a sudden? And the first thing I see when I unlock my phone is the Tom Thibodeau firing notification on ESPN, and I'm like, damn, so that's what we're talking about. And initially, there was a few different opinions within the group chat of me and the homies and everything like that. There was a few guys that didn't think that it made sense, and that was like, does this make sense to anybody? And then I came in and I was like, I would have fired his ass too. And that's not to say Tom Thibodeau is a bad coach. I don't believe that Tom Thibodeau is like the reason they lost that series to the Pacers necessarily. And I do want to preface this also by saying Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks did overachieve this season. Like, nobody saw them getting to the conference finals based on how they played in the regular season, based on how they struggled against the Boston Celtics, the OKC Thunder, and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the regular season. Damn near nobody saw them getting to the conference finals at all. So props to them for that. They took 2 games away from the Pacers and everything like that. That is good for them. Congratulations. But there were some things that I was very critical of about there were some things about Tom Thibodeau that I was very critical of, not just throughout the season, but also especially in that Pacer series. So let's go ahead and get into them, bro. We all know that Tom Thibodeau is a coach that is never going to play his bench. We know that whether it be regular season game versus the freaking Nets or the playoffs, we know that Tom Thibodeau is probably going to get his main 5, 6, or maybe even 7 guys 40 minutes a night, literally like forever. Like, that's why you think Josh Hart is like the perfect player for him, because that's the type of guy that'll go out there and hustle even if you're giving him 40 minutes an hour on every single given night. And last year, this is something that came up a lot when they were in the second round versus the Indiana Pacers and they lost, and a lot of that was because of OG Anunoby gets hurt, Josh Hart gets hurt, Jalen Brunson gets hurt all during that series, and that was when a lot of people, and Julius Randle was already out for that whole playoff run, so that was a lot of people saying, well, damn, this running your guys 40 minutes a night just isn't going to work, especially if you get a tough first round test like you did last year in the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's been something that has been talked about, and this goes to way back before Tibbs was the coach of the New York Knicks. This goes back to his Chicago Bulls days. I believe he's with the Minnesota Timberwolves doing the same thing. I think he was there, because I think he was in the Minnesota team with like Jimmy Butler, D Rose, maybe. I feel like he was. Maybe that wasn't him, but I feel like he was in Minnesota. Maybe I'm tripping, though. Anyway, this is something that has been a massive criticism of Tom Thibodeau and of his coaching scheme and of his coaching philosophies, if you will, for his entire career. And that's something that I personally have been very critical of. But the one thing that I want to say, if you're not going to be a guy that plays your bench, if you're going to be a guy that plays your top 5, 6, or 7 guys 40 minutes a night every night from the beginning of the regular season through to the end of the playoffs, however far you make it, then you have to stick with it. Because what I don't want to see is what I saw this year, where you play like that for the entire regular season, you play like that for the first like couple rounds of the playoffs for the most part, and then randomly, like even in some Piston series, but especially against the Pacers in this round, you start seeing Landry Shamet get a bunch of minutes, or you see Cam Payne get like what? I think he got like around 10 minutes in both of the first 2 games against the Pacers. Like, it's like, if you're going to be a guy who's only going to play 7 guys, 6 guys, 5 guys, and all of them are going to play 40 plus minutes, stick with it. Because if that gets you to the conference finals, and can mind you, you don't have any major injuries that are forcing you to play guys that are on the bench, why would you change it? Why would you now start randomly giving Landry Shamet minutes, or Cam Payne, who hit 1-3 the entire playoffs up until game 1 of this series? Why are those guys randomly getting so many minutes when this is something that you have been doing your entire career, which is not playing the bench at all? And we all know that this year the New York Knicks have not had the greatest bench. And I think that's part of the reason that Tom Thibodeau this year playing only 5 or 6, 7 guys was something that I didn't have a problem with, especially like going to this series. I'm thinking like off the bench, the only guys I want to see are Mitchell Robinson, Miles McBride, and then eventually ended up being Josh Hart, because Mitchell Robinson was moved into the starting lineup for like game 3. That's fine. But like, I don't want to see Landry Shamet minutes, who was giving you damn near nothing except for in like one game where he played okay. I don't want to see campaign minutes where in the first two games he was just doing absolutely nothing positively for you on the floor to the point where he didn't play for the final 4 games of the series. I don't want to see that. I don't like what. Why is Precious Achua didn't get real minutes or anything like that, but he checked into the game. I think in like game 4, game 5, like he checked into the game. If you're going to be the guy that has your entire career never played a bench, don't get into the conference finals where your team that year, that team that's in the conference finals, you don't have a good bench. Don't just start getting guys off the bench, giving them real minutes. I don't want to see that. I get some of that was because a lot of these games you got Jalen Brunson or Mitchell Robinson or Cat or a combination of those guys all in foul trouble. I get that and I feel that. But like game 1 or game 2, it was one of those where, or it was game 2, I vividly remember because it was in overtime. People were saying that maybe the reason game 2 that he played campaign or Landry Shamet those minutes was because in game 1 it gets to overtime and his guys are gassed, can't hit a shot, whatever. But in game 2, why is there a point in time where you have Miles McBride and campaign at the same time, but Cat and Brunson are both on the bench, and this is in the fourth quarter? Why? Why are you doing that? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I don't believe that the entire series loss is on Tom Thibodeau, but there were many, many minutes during this series that I was just like, what the hell are you doing? And, like, I'd just much rather you play these guys, the Landry Shamets of the world, the campaigns of the world, the DeLon Wright, who I thought was not terrible in the series, but the DeLon Wrights of the world. I would much rather you. And why do they have so many guys on the bench who are just like point guards? Like, why? What do you gain by having 3 guys on the bench that are just like guards? I don't like. You have no forwards. You have no backup. Like, what the hell? Anyways, I just don't get why you give those guys minutes in the conference finals but not in the regular season. I would do the opposite. I would much rather you play those guys in a regular season game versus the Nets or the Wizards or the Jazz or whoever you're playing. I would much rather those guys get minutes in those games rather than those guys get minutes in the conference finals when you know they don't have any rhythm. Campaign, like I already said, was like 1 of 14 from 3 in the playoffs leading up until game 1 of the series. And in game 1, he played like 15 minutes. In game 2, he played like 9 minutes or something like that. Like, what are we doing? But it's not just the bench thing. It's not just the rotations. It's not just the lineups. There is one other thing that I was very, very critical of Tom Thibodeau. And I'm sure there were other things that he did that if I went back and I watched the whole series again that I would notice and I'd be like, damn, this was a little interesting that he did. It wasn't just the rotations and the lineups, which I think was the most glaringly obvious thing. But another thing that if y'all have been watching my recaps that I was so confused about the entire Pacers series is the defensive scheme. Because why are you paying OG Anunoby $30 million a year plus whatever he's getting? And why are you trading 5 first-round picks, which I get wasn't his decision. He's not the GM. That's Leon Rose, I think, is still the GM there, I believe. That's his decision, whatever. But I guarantee you Tom Thibodeau had a very massive part in that trade. Or they at least got his approval for it first. I can almost guarantee you that. Why are you paying OG all that money? Why are you trading 5 first-round picks for Mikal just to have Cat or Mitchell Robinson or even worse, Jalen Brunson switching onto Hallie every time he gets a ball screen? It doesn't matter if it's Nembhard or if it's Neesmith or if it's Siakam or if it's Miles Turner or if it's freaking Tony Bradley. I don't care who it is setting the screen. If you're paying those guys that much money and you're trading that many picks for those guys, have them fight over the screen. They're not hurt. There's nothing wrong with them that is prohibiting them from fighting over the screen. And you're seeing on the other side Aaron Neesmith do it and giving Jalen Brunson for at least some stretches of the series some trouble when he's fighting over those screens so well. Why are you not doing that? Why are you just conceding that we're going to say, I get against the Celtics you did it because you know the Celtics want to match up hunt. So you, against the Celtics, you were doing the little things and like the Celtics were struggling. Even when you were giving them the matchups, the Celtics were struggling to score against it. Like Jason Tatum couldn't drive past Cat, kept shooting threes and kept bricking them hoes. I get that. So I am okay with you doing it in the Celtics series just because it worked out for you, even though it didn't work out for you the entire regular season. But during this series, you see that it's not working and then you don't adjust. You just keep saying, no, guys, we're going to switch it all. We're going to blah, blah, blah. We're going to let Jalen Brunson get those possessions on him. And even though Callie's not the best ISO scorer in the world, and on some of these possessions, you see Cat be able to hold his own, or you just see Hallie take a 3, even though he can run past the guy and get to the basket and he misses it, which I guess you call a successful possession. I get that. But like, more often than not, I want my guys at least fighting over these screens, and I just didn't see that a lot in this series, especially early in the series when you fall down 2-0 while having home court advantage. You got to fix that. You have to fix that. Like, after game 1 especially, you have to fix that. And the last thing I'll say about this one, that I kind of, another thing that makes me support this decision by the New York Knicks, and at the very least should help you understand it. If there was any year to fire your head coach, it's this one. You got Mike Malone on the market. You got Taylor Jenkins on the market. There are guys that are respectable and respected coaches in this league that are on the head coaching market right now that do not have jobs. You can get them. You are the New York Knicks. You're not the Utah Jazz where you would have to overpay a guy, blah, blah, blah. You don't have an ass roster where you have to get a coach who may not want to rebuild, but you have to rebuild. You're not one of those teams. You are the New York Knicks who just went to the conference finals and were 2 games away from making it to the finals. You can get a Mike Malone. You can get a Taylor Jenkins. So that right there makes me automatically understand the move. Where if you believe that if you saw things you didn't like from Tom Thibodeau, which I saw things I didn't like from Tom Thibodeau, and then you go and you look at the head coaching market, and it's Mike Malone, it's Taylor Jenkins, it's other guys who I'm probably not even thinking of right now. You're happy with that. You like, okay, if there's ever any year to take a swing for the fences for a head coach, it's this year. Now, I will also say if you go out here and you don't get Mike Malone and you don't get Taylor Jenkins, then I think that makes the move make a little less sense. Like, I think Knick fans would be much happier with this move and much more understanding of this move if you were able to get one of those two guys, whether it be Mike Malone or even Taylor Jenkins on the coaching market. But if you're not able to get them, I think that's where you get to the point where it's like, was firing Tom Thibodeau really the best move? You know what I'm saying? Now, I am not mad at the move at all. We're obviously going to see how it plays out in these next coming years. But, yeah, man, let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know what thoughts y'all have. Let me know if y'all agree with me, y'all disagree with me, or if you just have something you want to add in. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. Yeah, but fiance's supposed to go into labor literally any day this week, any day now. Like, she's due Sunday, but they said she can go into labor at any time. So if you stop seeing videos or whatever, blah, 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 you'll know why. All right, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. God loves you, and so do I. All right, peace out, man.